a novice zapper and landslide if you're playing against Muzzy.
Light shall bring victory.
It's a strong deck. It's good. It's got a high win rate, but it's still Shadow Priest at the end of the day. And you still rely on your opponent missing and you hitting more than anything else. So I know that Language Hacker had that, like, or not Language Hacker. I can't remember who it was. Someone tweeted about how this is the first time was it Luna? Played Aggro decks in a Masters Tour?
Oh, no, it was Eddie.
Oh, it was Eddie. Okay, yeah. In Eddie's, this is my last season of GM tweet. Said it's the first time he's played Aggro decks in the Masters Tour just because he knew that it would just be, quick games and it's aggro at the end of the day. So we'll see, though. That's a good opening hand for Monsanto. Oh, my God. What? That's a great opening hand for Muzzy, though.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And, something that I was going to sort of pick you up on a little bit here is Perpetual Flame was really good against Shadow Priest when people first started playing Perpetual Flame. But the Shadow Priest, okay, it's still annoying and awkward to play around, and you do get Perpetual Flamed and it does hurt. You can take measures to stop it. For instance, giving your 1/3 Divine Shield on the turn they want to flame you. And then maybe taking your chance. There's the option here for Monsanto to just go all in, and if he gets flamed, just hopes the first flame hits the Divine Shield. Now, obviously, the Shaman can have 2 removal spells, take off the shield, flame you, and the game is over. That's something you've got to worry about. But like you say, it's aggro. Sometimes you just got to close your eyes and hope it works, because he wins on turn 3 if he doesn't lose, if he goes all in here, because of Elucia. I love this. It might not work out for him. It looks pretty grim for him, in fact, with Landslide Flame coming up. But I think it's correct. And he knows.
It's just so funny, though. It's like, take my entire turn to think, and then, spend all my mana.
Yep, that's exactly how you play this. You spend 70 seconds making out that you're doing something clever, and then you just plop all your things on the board. Every time. It's great. I love playing this deck against people. It upsets them so much. It's great.
There was some decision-making there, notably the Wriggling Horror positioning, which you want to position to give yourself the best chance against, once again, Perpetual Flame. So he puts his highest health minions paired up, those Void Touch Attendants, which he's going to want to protect. So as long as those were next to each other in any capacity, he was looking good.
Oh! Muzz getting greedy.
I mean, actually, yeah. I guess this is about as greedy as you can get, I suppose.
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying it's greedy, because now Monsanto can just walk into the rest of it. What does Elucia actually do here? How much damage would he get out of an Elucia?
So I think you want to raise dead. No, I guess it doesn't matter if you raise dead first. If you raise dead first, the only card Muzzy could play on next turn would be the card off the top, or the Void Touch Attendant, which in this situation would be better for him. There's a chance that he could wait one more turn or a couple more turns and Elucia after, because this isn't like a guaranteed setup.
Oh, it is now. In his mind, because he doesn't know about the flame and the landslide, because Muzzy was greedy. Yeah, I like this.
Quickly.
Muzzy's just smiling. He's like, it doesn't matter what you do.
So you play your Attendant, you shoot the 3/2, you go face, and then next turn you Org Merchant and Elucia. But that doesn't happen because Muzzy wipes the board out as it happens. But what Monsanto's doing here is just setting up very nicely for, in his mind, what is a good chance of a 2-turn lethal.
Yeah.
But Muzzy's going to blow up the board. And he's picked up the Zapper.
Yeah, he could just zap or landslide, and that'll clear up.
Well, he only has the 2 mana, so...
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Has to be a bit careful.
Actually, wait a second here. Wait a second. Monsanto's got some game left here.
He has now. Is Muzzy going to launch the flame, and if it hits the Divine Shield, he just loses the game?
Whoa.
Okay.
All right, so he pushes 4 this turn, and on the backswing would have 2, 4, 6, 9.
2, 4.
Plus 3, 12.
7, 10.
It's not a 2-turn lethal setup.
12. It's a lot of damage, though.
It is a lot of damage.
And what else can he do? He might be called into having to do it because there's nothing else here.
Yeah, that's true.
That's it. That's it. We just wait the whole turn, then spend all your mana. It's just what you do around these parts.
Unplayable card in hand. A bunch of essentially what are unplayable draws off the top. Like a Voracious Reader, for example, you wouldn't even play it in most scenarios because you'd spend the mana for your opponent and still draw them cards.
Just a reminder, there's no direct damage in this version of the deck either. You have to do it on the board.
Yep.
Look at that tiny. It's so cute, TJ. No two-headed snakes there.
Alt Totem would be fantastic. Healing Totem is probably the worst.
Of course, Monsanto now knows what he's up against. Another thing about the Elusia that we didn't mention. He's seen the hand, so he can plot accordingly if possible.
Oh, yeah. How could my game plan change here? Actually, it could, because he knows that there's a Slogger in hand. So playing like the Dark Bishop Benedictus here has a little bit more wiggle room, because if Muzzy went Slogger, he would just kill the Benedictus and heal for 6, but then we would leave essentially everything else on the board. There's also, does Monsanto want to value trade with Minor Ender Lucio over the 1/1 to protect the additional damage from the Guardian Og Merchant? But then he knows that Zapper plus Landslide is a possibility, which would be a full board clear on everything but Benedictus. So actually, Benedictus might be the play here, just because it kind of protects you from both, and you don't weave in the hero power.
Right. That's what I was meant. You know, by seeing the hand, he at least has that information that he couldn't just go all in and try and win on the spot. He has to actually play Hearthstone for a bit here.
Yep.
Which is bad news if you're a priest player.
Okay. Slogger plus trade would bring Muzzy up to 14, and he could trade off the Guardian Og Merchant. That would leave Monsanto with 9 damage on board.
Lightning Storm. He's got so much removal.
This is actually tough. I imagine he's going to go Slogger. But let's say he goes
Slogger and trade into your Merchant.
This turn, then he'd be dead to raised dead a lot of the time.
What do you trade into with the Slogger? Your Merchant, because it takes off as much damage as killing off Benedictus, and your Slogger survives?
Well, you kill off the Og Merchant with your 1/1,
Yep.
and then you'd. I think you Zapper plus Landslide this turn.
So not the old Merchant, I meant the Attendant. Okay, this is fun.
Yeah, now he's dead to raised dead.
Oh, he's dead to this!
And Wriggling Horror. Oh my goodness, he got greedy multiple times this game.
So if he got into the Attendant and if he just traded into the Attendant and then sloggered the Attendant, he wouldn't have been dead on board. He'd take off a lot of damage, and Monsanto wouldn't have been able to get rid of the Slogger without trading into it and giving another 6 health. That's the line I was trying to speak about, but I said Orc Merchant because I'm stupid.
Yeah.
But Muzzy there just, I think, outthought himself through that game.
He would have gone up to 14 and left 2, 3, 4, 9 power on board. So he'd still be dead to raised dead Attendant. This play was the play that stabilized him the most, if he could get the Slogger down the very next turn, right? Because
Sure.
he'd have a clear board. trading over the Guardian Og Merchant, then killing Benedictus would have... he would have still been dead to Wriggling Horror in that case as well. So
yeah, killing the Benedictus
to Wriggling Horror, one play that left him dead to some raised dead outcomes. And then let's say he trades over the Attendant, but then he leaves up Benedictus, and even if Monsanto like gives him more health by having to attack once into the Slogger again, he had nothing in his hand that would deal with the Benedictus on the next turn, so it would have made back that amount of damage. I don't know. That's tough. There's 3 different things that all leave you dead to different things in the deck, or different things in the deck over 2 turns, right?
Moral of the story, kill all the things on turn 2 with your flame and your landslide, and none of that happens.
Yeah, he could have just done that. But then he would have overloaded himself for too much. He wouldn't have had a single play the following turn, and then if Raised Dead came out or Twilight Deceptor or anything, then he wouldn't have had any way at all to deal with any board from then on out. So,
and that might
did get greedy
with the Raised Dead. This is interesting to me because it's not a direct mirror. Monsanto is playing what looks like a normal Quest Charmer, but he's thrown in the Doomhammer package, I want to call this. He has the Doomhammer, of course, but he also has the Rockbiter, and he also has the Storm Strike, so can just lash out from nowhere and suddenly kill you, which is interesting because the one who goes for tempo in this mirror match tends not to be the favourite, and I'm curious to see how it works out when you have all of this Doomhammer stuff going on. It might swing it around.
So I watched Language Hacker stream this deck a little bit. I listened to him talk about the deck a little bit, and it does have some better matchups and matchups where you need to be aggressive. Like, for example, Fell Demon Hunter, Handlock. Handlock, a lot of times you get soul rended and you're starting from scratch and you need Brucon to win the game, whereas with this deck, you don't. With Monsanto and Language Hacker's version, you don't, because you have the Doomhammers, and there's not that many decks that are playing Rushrot Viper. Luna did throw it into her Fell Demon Hunter, which I thought was a smart choice, and then the Brute Demon Hunters are playing it. But in my testing with the deck, I felt like I was just losing mirror matchups to just like Feral Spirits. I was like, how do I get through these Feral Spirits? All right, you play your Doomhammer and then you Storm Strike one, you attack one, and cool, you pushed 5 damage and you dealt with a single card from your opponent. And then they're just playing other stuff behind it. You don't build boards really yourself, so you're not challenging that much in the early game because there's no Feral Spirits, there's Serpentine Portal, there's Diligent Note Taker, there's still Charge Call.
Your opponent's going to Charge Call Bigly before you can Charge Call Bigly, right?
Yeah.
They're going to get all their 1 and 2 mana overloads to make it happen, and you're still messing around with these. So that makes sense, but I just wasn't sure if the Doomhammer could just get there, but you're saying that in testing, it doesn't get there.
It was sometimes, right? And I'm not an expert at the deck, whereas I'm sure Monsanto and Language Hacker are, because they brought it, and they must have had a reason to bring it. The biggest thing is this turn right here is being able to negate the biggest downside of Doomhammer by resetting the mana crystals when you actually play it. So, the normal Quest Shaman takes a lot of setup time, right? They need time, even if they're playing minions, even if they're playing Feral Spirits, right? Their follow-up is usually get resources in hand. And if you're just hitting them with damage the entire time that's happening, that's great. And, in watching Language Hacker play the deck, there was barely any games where Brucon actually mattered, where he even played it. He was either losing before that happened or winning before that happened. So it's very interesting. Well, it's because you're cutting overload cards for Storm Strikes and Rockbiters and Cage Match Custodian.
Yep. So, yeah, absolutely. In the mirror, I can see that's a big deal. Like, you're just never going to get the big charge call, and as a function of that, you're never going to get your Brucon. Has allowed them, though, to leave up the Warlock, as you've just mentioned, which is a big deal in this meta. If you can leave Warlock up, it opens up you don't have to leave it up, but it opens up your options depending what you're facing. We're seeing some lineups have to ban the Warlock because it's so strong.
Yeah, and tempo charge calls instead of waiting for Brucon charge calls were also something that were that he was doing a lot more often. Just getting 5-cost minions, 6-cost minions, 7-cost minions, and then using those to kind of allow yourself to push more damage with the Doomhammer in the interim.
Whereas traditionally you're waiting to get Brucon and get double 8+.
Yeah.
Even double 6 or 7, but it's usually double 8+. Oh, it has to be an 8 by that point, in fact. Just by the rules of the game.
Yep. Pretty sure Muzzy is 0-0 on the second portion. I don't know. That wouldn't make sense. He's one.
I don't think he's had his 3/3 taunt yet, put it that way, so...
No, I don't think he's completed the first one, has he? This Lightning Bloom should reset his mana crystals.
There we go, yep.
So, big power turn potential here for Muzzy. Minion charge calls out of 4.
Well, you were saying about...
Out of 5 costs?
Yeah, just lob out a couple of Feral Spirits and see what happens. My attitude to this, for what you just said. Muzzy's going to be a bit more considered than me, strangely enough.
Ooh.
Overdraft's tempting.
So with Feral Spirits, Overdraft would be 3 damage. Still not enough to kill the Grunt.
Yeah, he's going to flame, and then next turn he's going to go for like every card in his hand.
Yeah.
Basically, because the overdraft will allow him to get so much unlock. And we're seeing in action what you just talked about. Like, what do you do as Monsanto here? Well, you probably Storm Strike, but...
He's got a minion on board, so he can Storm Strike, trade over a minion, then push 10 points of damage.
Mm-hmm.
Which is big. Put Muzzy down to 14. He's got a good chunk of damage in hand as well. Overdraft really wouldn't be doing that much, but he could set up for like an Overdraft Dunk Tank turn if he goes Runic Carvings on 6.
Sure.
I wonder.
He could also trade the Overdraft and just try and find more direct damage to try and end the game sooner. That Feral Spirits came off the top, which means that Muzzy probably doesn't have the second one. But Muzzy's also very close to completing the second portion of the quest for the 3/3 Elemental Taunt. This only deals 1. Oh, so he's going to go for Charge Call again and just push the...
Looks like, yeah.
Oh, no, okay. Clearing the board.
I mean,
interesting.
That worked, but he's running out of charges on that Doomhammer, and Muzzy's about to just lay everything onto the board. He actually hasn't got... Somehow, because of the extra removal he's playing, it's only like 1 extra card. He's just got a whole handful of the stuff.
And there's the 3/3 taunt.
He's got the overdraft, so he can...
Overdraft, Rockbiter, Deathmatch Pavilion? I don't know.
Yeah. So...
Or get a 7. 7 has some pretty big taunts. Keymaster Alabaster is actually pretty good too.
I'm a big fan of Keymaster, actually.
Hiploss is also kind of interesting, but I think Keymaster is just kind of the best here.
I mean,
You're meant to Doomhammer? Hey! Dilton. Oh,
and it's hard to kill as well. That's alright. Note taker's alright.
Oh, but that's... doubling up Storm Strike?
It is, but he won't be able to use it with the Wind Fury because he hasn't got enough mana.
Could you repeat?
Yeah, well, yeah, he does, and these are the last 2 charges of this Doomhammer too.
That's what I mean. Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of he can use it this time with the Wind Fury, but now he's not got one anymore.
Yeah.
Must do. Oh,
Well, another charge.
okay.
I mean, he could just do that. Diligent Note Taker, charge call, charge
Yeah.
call.
Let's just have some of that and try and set up lethal and hope we're not dead next turn. By we, I mean me and Muzzy.
Repeat that.
Yeah, doing a quick lethal check. Not close.
Like yourself.
That's an 8-8. Now looking for a taunt. Boom, taunt.
Strong man.
Actually, yeah, just takes
It's fine, because he's got so much attack on the board, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Don't be greedy like that Muzzy guy we saw earlier.
yeah.
Just double checking whether it's lethal if he trades here, like lethal next turn. Assume you lose a strong man. You've got 16 on board. Plus 3 in hand.
I think you just stop the damage. Like if he kills the strongman, he's not pushing. He got the 1-mana Doomhammer, and he's got a rock biter in hand.
Is he alive though? Let's just double check. Is he alive through everything? I think he is. Yeah, he's got to be.
Even if Monsanto had infinite mana, he's still alive. Even if
Infinite mana
Monsanto's
gets
cards were
interesting.
free.
Alright, let's do this. If it's infinite mana, he can Doomhammer, Runic Carvings, overloading it. Charge cool, get a rush minion on the right number. Try and get a Brukan and win with a Storm Strike. I've called your bluff, TJ.
He can't get a Brukan. He's not even close to the Overload. He's only got 2 Overload cards in hand. I'm talking with the cards that he has right now and infinite mana. If he could play all these cards with 0 downside, Charge Call would be it's still a 5-cost minion, so he could get it up to a 7-cost minion and then get Barongeddon. So yes, he could have lethal.
Yes.
He would Runic Carvings Doomhammer, then trade off the minions into the Strongman, and then he would Doomhammer, Storm Strike, and then get exactly Barongeddon from the Charge Call. Yep.
So he needs to
Found
play as if he's going to get infinite mana. He's going to be disappointed because he's only got 1 mana.
Yeah. And Muzzy has a 1-mana Doomhammer and a generated Rockbiter weapon. From that point, it was going to be hard for Monsanto to win anyway, just because he only had 8 mana next turn. He could only Doomhammer plus Storm Strike. A weird game. So I don't want to say that any plays are mistakes from Monsanto, because I'm not an expert on this deck or this matchup, as much as Monsanto and Langotak, who actually brought this Shaman. But just from my perspective, it did look like Monsanto put a lot of stock in making sure that the board was clear instead of pushing damage to face. A lot of these Doomhammer charges were used to just clean up minions instead of like hitting face. Like that previous turn, it felt like he could have pushed 10 to face, and then he could have had some out for lethal, or at least would have put Muzzy under more pressure to where he may not have been making the same decisions as he would have otherwise, and tried to be more safe. But again, maybe in their testing, they realized that was the best strategy, and that they'd stumble upon lethal as the game went on.
But you are an expert, I assume, just like all of us here in the office, on Soul Demon Hunter.
It's just Soul Demon Hunter with sigils. There's nothing else new.
They are commons, so Muzzy's probably got some.
I mean, I guess like Fury is kind of new because it's a ranked spell.
Sure. If you want a deck for 3,480 dust played by a world championship contender, this is your deck.
Is it your deck though? So
I didn't say I was going to win. I just said if you want a deck, this.
Yeah, I will say that in playing Fell Demon Hunter against a lot of matchups, I've thought to myself, man, I just want to play bigger weapons and more just direct face damage, because I have a lot of fun Talented Arcanist Fell barraging people in the face, and Aldraki Warblades and Furying and smacking people in the face. And in a lot of matchups, that's just how you win. And so Muzzy probably had the same thought and was like, you know what? I feel like I've played a deck that just does that, and that's Soul Demon Hunter. It's an incredibly one-dimensional deck. Essentially, all the damage in the deck comes from just weapon swings or face attacks. with a couple caveats. If you stick Soul Shard Lapidary or Bladed Lady or Sociologist Militia, but everything else is just you hitting them. And so in a lot of matchups, I feel that's good.
What amuses me here is of these two decks, you picked on Muzzies to call an incredibly one-dimensional deck.
Okay, Brute Demon Hunter is two-dimensional. Okay, it either plays giant brutes early on in the game and wins based off that, or you don't draw your brutes, so you complete Kurtrus as fast as possible, and then you hit him with a big weapon because you're drawing a ton of cards every turn. So 2 dimensions versus 1 dimensions. Okay. 2 dimensions wins.
Does it, though? Would you rather fight a 2-headed snake or a 1-headed snake?
I mean, it depends how dangerous the heads are.
I mean, they're 20 feet across and 6 foot wide.
I mean, the size doesn't matter.
And they're full of teeth?
Some of the most deadly snakes in the world are tiny.
And very agile.
They just have the most potent venom.
And really venomous.
Yeah, what has the most potent venom? Is it a couple 7/8 brutes on turn 4? Or is it the ability to smack your opponent for 5+ damage every single turn?
I don't know. But we're going to find out. For some reason, luckily here in the Americas region, we don't care about sample sizes. This is our one chance to ever find out the answer to which is better, a 2-headed snake or a 1-headed snake.
Yes, analogies aside, this will probably be the only game of Brute Demon Hunter versus Soul Demon Hunter that we will ever see.
Austin brought something a bit soul-y as well, but he's still stuck with some of the other things in Europe, I believe. But yeah, we don't care what they're doing over in Europe, obviously, because this is the region to watch for all your Hearthstone needs.
Okay. Yeah, there's some watch posts in there. There's an Inquisitor. There's a Jace in Boston's. But there's still Marrow Slicers, Soul Shard Lapidaries, and Furies. However, there's actually not much soul generation. There's just Spirit Jailers and Marrow Slicers.
Yeah, I did feel like his deck just had Lapidaries for fun.
Yeah. But the Bladed Ladies, I like that. He threw in Fell Barrages too. Yeah, he probably had the same thought as both Muzzy and I, but just didn't go all the way into the soul category. Ooh, no brutes. Bummer.
Yep.
In fact, this is a terrible hand for acquiring brutes, I will say.
Unless Muzzy glides him into some brutes.
Yeah, doubt that's going to happen.
Get some I-beam action together to try and kill the brutes if they turn up.
I don't think he's particularly worried about brutes. If Monsanto hasn't hit brutes at this point, like the likelihood that he hits brutes is...
I love it. My opponent's deck only has brutes, and I'm not worried about the brutes.
Well, so he saw like a lot of the front-loaded card draw last turn. Mm-hmm. Like Monsanto drew, what, 7 cards last turn? Or 6 cards last turn? His Lion's Frenzy was that 7? Okay.
Got a lot. He's only got 16 cards left in deck.
Yeah, no, he's drawn a lot. And so if you don't see brutes by that point, when your opponent has used a lot of their card draw, and they're using it from the right side, Monsanto has Kane blocking the left side. Like, Monsanto's ability to draw here is actually...
Pleasure doing business.
I actually thought he was going to play that as a 4-3.
He might have played a Spectral Sight as a not outcast here.
So he wouldn't be able to play a brute if he drew it. Actually, if he plays the more expensive Spectral Sight and then draws a brute, he can play the cheaper Spectral Sight, and the brute would be discounted, and then he could play... No, he still wouldn't be able to play it.
It's the brutes!
Oh my gosh. These are not brutes.
He's not getting bruted. All that weapon damage vanishes as well.
Oh, yeah.
When you draw that many. Oh, hurts.
That's a 3-cost Marrow Slicer. Whoo! Whoo! Damage is piling up.
Yeah, in fact, Muzzy's almost at the point now where the only thing he has to worry about is just how quickly he can pile this damage out on the board. Just order it so you get the maximum out of it.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
I missed this.
Oh, and one thing that I forgot existed. Got to get a soul fragment check going here. 6 soul fragments in the deck. Sociologist Militia, fully juiced.
Okay.
He turns away, but got to get in the habit of it, you know? The hardest part here for Monsanto is actually making space for Kurtrus in hand, because he's got the draw to be able to do it. All right, that's another dumpable card.
He hasn't even got a philosophy yet, has he either? He's having a bit of a game, is Monsanto here. Could change quickly still.
Oh, that's a brute.
Incredible. So lucky. It's turn 5 and he's got a brute already with 11 cards left in his deck. You're right though. How's he going to make this space? There's a 0 money Fury that gets that out of his hand, I guess.
Impatient.
Maybe you just glide. Fury glide?
Pleasure doing business.
He's got to be looking to get these. No, you're right.
He's out of time. That first brute wasn't green. He can pick up the second brute.
Just nothing doing. He's got the Kurtrus, but Muzzy, surely there's lethal here. I haven't added it up at all, but
Fury is 3. Chaos Strikes are 4 each. Oh, wait. Fury,
there's another
Relentless
Fury.
Pursuit. That's it. That's it.
Easy.
That's 10 from hand and 8 showing. That is 18 damage. That is a turn 5 lethal. Muzzy got there.
Monsanto just couldn't get bruted, and Muzzy showing once and for all, absolutely convinced now that one head is better than 2 heads.
As long as the 2 heads are... The snake with 2 heads is putting both of its heads inside of a hole during the entire battle.
Because then it can't move at all, which is kind of what happened. The analogy works.
Yeah. Yep.
It's taken 3 matches, but we've made the analogy actually stick. Well done, TJ.
That's why people tune into America's Grandmasters, because Lauren and I have mastered the art of analogies.
We have, yeah. Other regions have mastered like anatherons. We managed analogies. Like, what sort of analogies have we mastered it like? Anyway, let's have a look at Muzzy's handlock. It has been left up, and this is kind of the point of Monsanto's lineup, right? To be good against this deck. You put those demon hunters, you put those doom hammers in the shaman for this reason, and the rest of the lineup is also built to have a good shot against the handlock.
Yep. And let me do a quick Viper check in Muzzy's lineup. That's a big old 0.
No Vipers?
No Vipers. Potentially no problem. We'll see. It's Shadow Priest, a Doomhammer Quest Shaman, and Brute Demon Hunter. And I feel like those are all reasonable matchups for Monsanto.
Show how good this bring was. There were 40 from 48 players handlocks brought this week, and 16 out of 16 players in Americas brought it. So, calling the meta, going well for Monsanto and Language Hacker. You do still have to win the games.
Didn't work out for Language Hacker. Not working out great so far for Monsanto. He's looking like he's steamrolling to a 1-2 finish this week.
Steamroll. Don't steamrollers go forward? That sounds like it's going like a reverse gear steamroller, which sounds very dangerous because it might like flatten itself into the tarmac or something.
No, he's going forward.
Right.
He's just going the wrong way.
He's just taken the wrong turning. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
So, yeah.
So, Monsanto here, probably a totem up. The next turn he can go Coin, Lightning Bloom, Lightning Bolt, Doomhammer, refreshing the crystals.
Yep.
Could also just Lightning Bolt this turn, but then he'd just miss a totem and it'd be the same outcome. Or he could Primal Dungeoneer.
It's just a neutral play. Oh, he's picked up the Rock Biter, which is nice, obviously.
Yeah. So now he could go Serpent Shrine on 3, and then Bloom Doomhammer on 4. Okay, that makes sense.
And unlock the things, and then he's rolling quite nicely. Shaman mana curves are fun. Look at all the buffs.
Today's class will be outside.
Muzzy's eyes getting wider and wider because he's not quite sure what's happening, but I think he's got a good idea what's happening next turn.
Cult Neophyte.
It does look good, doesn't it? But we can see the hand. But Null and Neophyte in that order.
Then he's further away from a Netheron. But
true.
See, I don't know what he's expecting on 3, right? I guess just a 3-mana spell, like Feral Spirits?
Yeah.
So it might just be a Netheron plus Tour Guide. I don't know. Maybe taking some, maybe Knoll plus Tour Guide. It's one of those plus Tour Guide. The Knoll, he just wants to take more damage off the board. But now Monsanto gets to get the quote-unquote free Doomhammer out. And I'm sure he's going to ship this all to face. We'll have 6 crystals next turn, which is enough for Rockbiter, Storm Strike, plus Lightning Bolt. However, we'll see that Muzzy's most likely going to play a Cult Neophyte onto the board. In fact, Muzzy has a very good play here of tap, a Netheron, Cult Neophyte, touch, push 5.
Yep, that checks out.
Go up to 19, have an 8-6, a 5-1, and a 3-2 on board.
Facing a lot down that he doesn't know about, though. 19 he's facing next turn. Not counting the 2-3 on board.
Oh, he'd be at 17. Sorry, I forgot about the mana for the tap.
So if he doesn't get any taunt out there, he loses next turn, most likely.
What about if he double Neophytes? Rockbiter will cost 4, Lightning Bolt will cost 3. That would work.
The problem is we know how stupid Monsanto's hand is. Muzzy probably doesn't expect them both to come down. Oh, Monsanto only has 5 crystals or 6 next turn. You misled me. I believed you.
I did, yeah. For some reason, it showed him as having 5, but it was because of...
It did.
It was because of the Lightning
Bloom. The Bloom did the thing.
And then a touch. Digging it. Digging it!
Plenty away from lethal the way it's set up.
Yep.
And sets up his own lethal
6.
with the 8-6 and the 3-2 is actually lethal with the Battlemaster next turn.
Yeah, so...
22.
Monsanto's going to have to pivot here and go Canal Sauger. With the second Neophyte in hand, this is actually... pretty okay for Muzzy, right?
If you see both hands, I think I want Monsanto's, but the players can't see both hands. And Monsanto's more likely to not play around the right things, right? I don't know, actually. He's got 6 charges on this weapon. He only needs to use 2 of them to go face with all the buffs and the Lightning Bolt and the Note Taker. Obviously, he needs time for those things to work.
There is little time. Now let her end.
So if he takes out the 5-1 now with his face to stop Battlemaster doubling the damage.
I don't think he's worried about Battlemaster, because if Battlemaster comes down, he wins next turn.
Oh, because there's nothing else in the way. Sure, yes.
Yeah. So I think he just pushes face, and then sets up for Rockbiter plus Lightning Bolt. So Muzzy has to heal here and play Cult Neophyte.
Yes. And the only way to heal... It's not good, is it?
I mean, he could heal for a lot. He could Tour Guide. Oh, no, he can't Tour Guide tap Ananethron. He'd have to tap Ananethron. Okay, tap. This heals because he now gets the 3. And then he'll go Anethron, Colt Neophyte, and then touch, and he's alive.
Yes.
He would have to do both of those things in order to live.
There's a good chance he does do both of those things because
I don't even see another play remote.
playing the neophyte and touching the neophyte just makes logical sense anyway.
Yeah.
It's up to Monsanto to try and buy one more turn.
And it doesn't look like that's possible.
He can... Oh, he can't kneel. I mean, Charge Call makes it possible, but it's not the nice play at all. It's not even going to be at a very high number. It's going to be like a 3.
So you overdraft the 5/1.
Yep.
Charge Call for a taunt, and then kill the Neophyte.
I hope that they don't do anything bad. Yeah.
Because it would be, you'd only be dead to Battlemaster, and they'd have to Battlemaster plus remove the taunt.
So he's going to go with this. Yep.
Oh no, the Storm Strike. No, this is really smart. Yeah, because he's not exactly dead to Battlemaster, because it'd be 16 damage. Oh no, this is great. This is fantastic. Yeah, this is way better than Charge Call and hope you get a taunt. What the heck was I thinking? 13 cards left in deck.
Can he get through 3 of them? Yes, he can. And then he can heal for 6. But now Monsanto has finally unlocked all the problems.
I wonder.
6, 9.
So he could then go Baron Scavenger, attack with the Anetheron, and then Bristleback the Anetheron, which would put him at
8.
8, and he'd still be dead to Rockbiter. Oh no, he wouldn't be dead. I mean, he'd be dead to Diligent Note Taker, Rockbiter. He's trying to play around like 1 weapon buff, which attacking for 8, Baron Scavenger, and then Bristlebacking. Oh no, he can. This doesn't change anything actually. It just gives him an easier target to Bristleback. So it does look like he's dead.
So the lethal is double lightning.
Literally
bolt.
anything.
The 6/6. Yeah. Just do it how you like. Double lightning bolt. For
You could also just Diligent Note Taker, Rockbiter, attack Scavenger, attack Face, because that's 8 damage. There's multiple ways to do this. All of them involve Diligent Note Taker, but
which way he chooses to skin a cat here. He goes for your way. Boo.
I'll write that down.
yeah. So, really nice play from both players, honestly. Monsanto's spot from last turn with the Overdraft plus Storm Strike. We said at the beginning of the broadcast, the handlock is face up. They have no damage from hand, outside of quest completion, and both portions of the quest had already been completed that actually deal damage from Muzzy's perspective, and Battlemaster. So he knew that there was just zero way for Muzzy to deal that 1 extra point of damage that he needed. And so all he had to do was push a little bit of damage to face. In that case, he ended up pushing a lot. He pushed 10. And make sure that he wasn't dead to Battlemaster. And he found the one play with his hand that did it. So it's crazy that Storm Strike and Charge Call cost the same amount and look exactly the same.
Yeah, it doesn't help anything, does it?
Doesn't
That's
help
my excuse
at
too.
all.
But both players were very, very aware of exactly what was going on there at all times.
Yeah.
I found really cool to watch. I think give those players against an average sort of ladder player or even an average legend that matchup. They probably win from either side, which is kind of cool. But yeah, really good back and forth. And we're down to 2-2, and I wouldn't have it any other way from two players who won the first 2 weeks. And it's going to be, what, the Demon Hunter, the fell Demon Hunter from Monsanto, not the whatever Muzzy played, versus this Handlock.
Oh, Jesus.
So,
It's
deck that
brutes.
just kills your minions all the time, but they have to be small things. Oh, it's brutes.
It's brutes. If I'm at match point in a series to keep myself alive in any tournament, even if it's a weekly Grandmasters tournament, and you tell me I'm going up against one of the best, most consistent decks in the metagame in Handlock, and I've had amnesia, so I just woke up, I have no idea what I'm playing, and you tell me your last deck is Brute DH, I would be like, no! Because it feels like Brute DH always lets you down when it matters the most. Brute DH can go 30-6 on ladder any day of the week when you're just jamming and just playing some games of Hearthstone. But as soon as you get that, like, you queue against your rival or you're in a tournament, that's when Brute DH lets you down the most.
It's like a monkey's paw thing. You go, yeah, I've got this great new deck. I'm just going to go a million wins in a row. And he goes, yeah, we'll let you do that, but at a price. Like a cursed monkey's paw.
Yeah, and that curse.
And then the
is
price
either,
is you never win anything useful.
Yeah. Or the price is the game gives you brutes, but literally nothing else. Like the worst is when you actually draw your brutes on your pop-off turns, but you're 1 mana off. You're sitting there with two buffed brutes in your hand, or even 3 buffed brutes in your hand.
Yeah.
They all cost 1, and you have 0 mana. That's the ultimate curse.
I think you nailed it. I think that's the whole point. We saw it happen to Blaze. He won so many games on ladder, and tricked people across the world into bringing it, including himself.
Yep.
And the biggest mistake made by iRock in the final was banning the brute because it wouldn't have been drawn.
Oh, jeez.
You're laughing at Muzzy's hand because it's just going to curve out and slap Monsanto about.
It's just like Cold Neophytes are the ultimate anti-brute technology.
Oh, they so are. I played a lot of Rogue, and you just destroy this deck by just playing Neophyte. It just wins.
Yeah. Because by the time that one they've like dealt with the Neophyte, and two they've essentially passed an entire turn to a Neophyte. You're still doing your own game plan behind the scenes.
Never catch me.
Like behind the cone. Oh, that's good. Can actually complete the quest, which honestly at this point we can see is going to be the like the win condition for Monsanto. Monsanto may not know. He may think that brutes are still going to be okay.
There's one. But he doesn't have the mana.
Does have a glide that's cheaper. He won't be able to. He's blocked on both sides, so won't be able to outcast that to get rid of Muzzy's stuff. But at least he completed the first portion of the quest, which is the easiest. But he got it out of the way, so now he's got things to do on Cold Neophyte turns.
Trying to work out what Muzzy's considering that isn't Mortal Coil and Neophyte here, because that looks like a natural looking play. I guess double Neophyte was an option. And Null was, I guess, an option as well. So, but this was the natural looking play.
It's still glide.
Well then, he needs to decide now what he's going to do as well, because the options to philosophy, if he's never gliding, are also there.
Yeah, I think he glides because it completes the second portion of the quest.
Yeah, it does make the most sense. He can take the 3 as far as he's concerned.
Yeah.
What bad things can happen to him? I mean, Null's one of the badder things that can happen to him, and it's there. Not likely to get Gianted, you're not likely to get Anethorond, particularly likely at least.
Yeah, a backfire in hand would do it, but a backfire plus Anethorond. Actually gonna double. So he's going to glide next turn and then just try and get some brutes down.
Seems good. Or seems like that's what he's doing at least.
Yeah. So these brutes, all these brutes are base cost 6. So glide will discount them to 1 if they're redrawn, because there's a natural card draw off the top and then the glide. So Cold Neophyte comes down again. If he glides, he can still play 1 brute. Doesn't have any soul fragments in the deck. He could just play a brute.
I grow impatient.
If he glides, they go back to 7, though, right? It's only the tradable cards that don't change.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. No, because he hasn't completed the second portion of his quest.
Oh, so it will complete.
what I
They'll
was
go to
talking
base
about.
cost 6. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see. Well, I mean,
Demons?
he went this way to do this play, right? So I guess there's the option of just playing a brute.
It's an 8/9 because the 2 of them were double philosophied. So the 2 on the right are 8/9s. He double outcast philosophy.
Yep.
Okay, that would make the brute 2 mana, so can't play it. He's got to make the decision now. He's actually running out of time. I think you just play a brute.
If in doubt, brute yourself up and see what happens.
Your end comes now.
Yep. Oh yeah, that is a big brute. Whoa!
Turn 5, 8, 9.
And so now Muzzy knows that there are 2 brutes in hand because it's an 8/9. So the first one was a brute, and the second one was a brute.
So
Does have a
he doesn't want.
soul red option, but
Well, I think what you just said means he doesn't want to soul rend, right? Because he knows there's more to come, so he'd rather hold on to that soul rend and do it a different way.
oh, you could raise dead Null and then double Cold Neophyte again. Oh, he could raise dead a Netheron, Null, Neophyte.
Yes. That's where he's going to be at, I think.
Oh yeah.
A Nether.
Defenders of a doom. Almost out of time.
And yeah, one of the things we mentioned about a downside of Brute Demon Hunter,
Bones to gnaw.
literally no removal. There's outside of Fury, there's just no cards naturally in the deck that just do anything against the board. There's been a Neophyte played every meaningful turn that Monsanto's had.
And even now, if Monsanto gets 2 brutes down, Muzzy's preserved the soul rend, which would get rid of them, and that would leave Monsanto with a brute and a prayer. And a weapon that doesn't have
Hey.
draw.
He actually still has a brute in his deck.
Mm-hmm.
This is maximum brutage right now. So Glide could pick up the triple brute.
Triple brute. Much aligned creature or misaligned creature. I don't know.
He could just brute again.
I was going to say, I don't think he can. I think he's past the point where he can play the brutes one at a time because that's not causing the hand lock enough trouble, I don't think.
Demons?
I feel like they just pick you off one at a time.
Your end comes.
It's like those horror movies, TJ, where it's like, hey, I'm just going to look around the corner and there's 7 kids and they slowly get picked off by the monster one at a time. This is what Muzzy's doing to these brutes, but the brutes are the kids.
What was that noise? Let me go check. Alone, with no flashlight or anything to protect myself or any sort of device that I could use to communicate with anybody if I was in any trouble.
And not only that, but I'm not even going to find any way to distinguish what happened to me. Like, I'm not even going to take like a phone or a communication device. Just no way of ever saying why this went wrong when it inevitably does. I'm just going to be fine. I'm just going to go down to the cellar. I'm going to change the pumps to put the light back on, and nothing bad's going to happen. You 6, you just all stay sat on the couch. You'll be fine. I'm off. That's what these brutes are doing now, one at a time. And then the other brutes are sat there in the hand going, what happened to Billy? He was fine a minute ago, but he went to the cellar. Why aren't the lights back on?
Oh man. Funny if you try to incorporate
It's another neophyte.
the philosophies into this analogy somehow. That these kids that were in a cabin in the woods with a monster around also have to get their hands on some cloning technology.
Now, the philosophy is the sort of off-duty part-time cop that shows up halfway through and checks out the place and just realizes it's all fine. Nothing to see here. Kids are imagining things.
Gotcha. Kings of analogy here in Americas.
What we got. We've also got good Hearthstone and brutes.
Oh, outcasted glide. Now we're in business. Oh, and he got the brute back. Brute is back. It was green. I saw it.
There you go. Muzzy's lost his hand. And got 2 giants back. And a raised dead.
Get the touch. What in the world?
What's this hand?
Oh, man. So that's second quest completion. These giants are free.
Oh, and a spiced bread baker as well. Just because, why not?
Yep. Oh my goodness. Trade, drain soul, touch, double giant. Oh my. Just throwing a raised dead first. Why not? Well, Anethron's not good, but...
Oh no, I'm going to have to play this 6 mana 8/6 to go alongside my 8/8s.
Yeah.
All the monsters lurking in the cellar. There'll be another kid down here in a minute.
Oh my god, he just got the perfect cards back.
Has he played Neophyte like 6 turns this game?
That's the
5 turns.
That is the 5th Neophyte, right?
Oh my. It's at least
no,
the
it might be
5th.
the
It's
4th.
at least the 5th. No.
Oh yeah, it is the 5th. Yeah, because he raised it back. The only 2 minions that die were the 2 Neophytes. He sprinkled those in on turn 6 or 5 and 6, and then got the second raised dead off the glide, and then sprinkled that in with the last 2 mana.
Yeah.
Monsanto is dead unless he hits soul fragments.
And other things. Yeah, and Muzzy misses.
Yep, that's game. Yikes. Well, Muzzy gets it done again. I feel like that's how all of his series go. He brings okay. His lineup this week wasn't as wacky as weeks 1 and 2, right? Where he just brought Control Priest. Not even Control Priest in like a full control lineup to try and target something specific. Just took a lineup and then jammed Control Priest in it. That was weeks 1 and 2. This week he just had some meta decks and then Soul DH thrown in. Soul DH killed his opponent on turn 5, massive success. And then he has close series and just has, a clean played game. He played that, I would say, with what he was given perfectly. He was just given the good stuff, even post glide. So, and the Cold Neophytes were just the MVP there. Monsanto was able to, he played 3 brutes. 2 of them were buffed. One of them was double buffed, and he still just got wrecked.
He just didn't get the chance to have a pressure turn where he played 2 or 3 brutes at once or anything. He has to play 1 at first so he doesn't get soul rendered the whole team, because that would have been bad as well. And then after that, he was kind of reduced by the curse of the mana to just play 1 at a time, and that just wasn't good. And even then, the glide still gave him a decent chance, to be fair, but not after we saw what Muzzy picked up from the glide. Muzzy could easily have picked up just some rubbish, because Handlock has got quite a lot of fluff in it just to survive. He could just picked up nonsense and lost to the brute, but even then, I think he's likely to get a way to get rid of it before he dies anyway.